Welcome to the Piston Fanatic. I'm your host, Dave Dalton, and I'm excited to share my passion and perspective of our Detroit Pistons as we go on this fantastic voyage together. I've been a diehard Piston fan since the days of Dave Bing and Bob Lanier. I've also been the varsity basketball coach of a very successful program in northern Michigan. I want to thank all of you so much for listening. We got lots of news. The news is changing rapidly. We traded for Isaiah Joe. I mentioned that in my podcast, my last podcast. I said we should go get Isaiah Joe, and we got him. And he's an elite shooter. We're going to talk about him. The Jalen Duren soap opera saga is moving up and down all over the place. First, I get reports that from Jake Fisher saying that Detroit is very much weighing a sign and trade for Jalen Brown to the Celtics, and that they are going to look into things by Tuesday when free agency starts Tuesday, where we can start talking to other free agents from other teams on Tuesday. So anyway, Jalen Brown, that's a big hot topic that the Celtics got to move him because they offered him in trade several different times, and who wants to play for a team that doesn't want you. Jalen Duren wants a lot more money. Contracts have stalled because obviously he wants a lot more than we want to pay him. And the reality is, though, the most another team can offer him is $177 million for 4 years. That's $44 million a year. If they sign him to that offer sheet, we can match it. So if we want to keep him for $44 million a year, he's ours. And we can sign him for an extra year that other teams can't sign him for. The team that owns him can sign in for 5 years. So we'll see what happens there. Hopefully there'll be some clarity sooner than later. But let's talk about Isaiah Joe. I loved Isaiah Joe. To get him for 2 second-round draft picks, he's not this all-out baller that can, like Tyler Hero, which still is in the mix. Tyler Hero is a much more dynamic player, can score 20 points a game. But Isaiah Joe, he's only 26 years old, almost 27, but he's 6'4". He's got 2 years left on his contract for only $11 million a year. He is a lights-out shooter. We need shooters. He's not just a good shooter. He is a great shooter. He can catch and shoot off movement. Doesn't need much space to get off shots. And he played only 21 minutes this last year. He averaged 11 points, 21 minutes to get to play on that loaded squad for Oklahoma City for a guard is amazing. They got so many guards on that team that were good. So they needed to just get rid of players. They had 15 players already signed to contracts that were on their rostered, and they already got rid of Wiggins, and now they got rid of Joe, and it's to our benefit. So he shot over 42% on 6 3-point attempts a game in only 20 minutes. I mean, that is unbelievable, and he is going to get good looks playing with Cade. I'm so excited for him. He's got championship experience, and it was a great move, but maybe the best move that Trajan's made so far. So a lot of things are up in the air that still remain to be seen. But yeah, where's the move? We're waiting for the move. Everybody anticipated that there had to be a move, and I don't know if it was Vince Goodwill that said that Detroit traded Stu for peanuts, so there better be a plan. And that's what I'm feeling. If there wasn't a plan in place that we thought that we were going to be able to complete to trade Stu, when we could have traded him for other things, the Rockets are saying now they're everybody on their roster is available in trade, and even Jabari Smith Jr. and he's exactly what we need. He's 6'10", can shoot the three. He's really good defender. He's on a good, reasonable contract. So I don't know that we would ever have enough to get him, but he is a perfect fit for us. I still think I want to get John Collins. It would be a great fit for us if we can get him in free agency at a reasonable price, or Sandro Mezzovilli that's played for the Raptors. So that was my second choice for free agent forwards, because we need to get a free agent forward that can shoot. And Collins is a 40% shooter, and Sandro can shoot the three too. But they said that Amen Thompson's the only untouchable on the Rockets team. But again, it would take a lot to get him. So, but if it was something that we could get him with, it would have been nice to had Jalen have Beef Stew to trade in that package. But again, we thought there was a move that was intimate that we were going to make real soon after we traded him because it would make no sense to just trade him. We moved up 2 spaces to get a guard that we could have got. We moved up to 17 for a guy that we could have got at 21, and so we really traded Stu for nothing. But yeah, the Duren thing is hard. He means so much to the team. He's 22 years old, and he just showed so much improvement. He was such a freak. He showed flashes of great defense. He is an offensive rebounding force. He showed so much more off the dribble last year, and he made All NBA. He deserved to make All NBA. He was bad in the playoffs. Those are all facts. But when you got your chance, and I think he has a lot of pride. You could say pride or ego, but he wants to get paid, and I'm sure he would take less than that. He could make up to 50-some million because of making all league. He gets to make a supermax. He gets to make 35% of the thing. But obviously because of the questions arose during the playoffs, do we want to pay a guy that much money? Plus, we don't want to pay. It's going to handicap you. If you pay him $10 million more a year, that means you just have less to operate when you already got to pay Kate a lot. And you're going to have to pay Asar. So we'll see what's going on. Yeah, I know anybody that thought we were going to sign him for just that $37 million. Some people thought that we could get him for that. Is just crazy, ridiculous. We're not going to get him for that, but still, we don't want to. We want to pay him for a reasonable amount. We don't. I mean, my guess is if we could agree to 40, and if gun to our head, if somebody matches it, then we got to pay him 44. But anyway, so again, to recap, just came out today. The trade for two second-round picks for Isaiah Joe, home run in my books. And then the reports from Jake Fisher that Duren's going to be looking for sign-in trades. And then we come back and get the report from Chris Haynes saying that the Pistons are conveying that they're going to sign Duren no matter what. So hard to say, hard to know what to do. Reports are that Kawhi doesn't want to extend with us. Well, he's a great player. If Kawhi played for our Pistons and would be willing to play and had a year like he did last year, he would be great, but he's at least 34, 35, and he has shown signs that he doesn't really love to play basketball. He's injured all the time, and he's got 1 year left in the extension, so he's extended. So you don't want to pay a bunch of assets, just like we don't want to give up a whole bunch of draft picks for Tyler Hero, who's always injured and who's going to make a lot of money, want to make a lot of money. So it's hard to give up a lot of money and a lot of assets. That's why overpaying John Collins is good. You get a good player that can shoot the three, that's 6'9", that can rebound and is okay on defense. And yeah, I just think there's just so much coming up in the pipeline that we got to see that happens. Kobe White, guy that I really wanted. So this goes back to, I talked to you guys about, even at the trade deadline, I wanted Kobe White or Ayo Dosunmu, and they were traded for second-round draft picks. And we had lots of second-round draft picks, and we didn't trade for them because we wanted to see what this group would do. Well, I think we could have potentially, you never know, gone to the next round if we just had one of those two guys on our team that can play defense and shoot and create for others. And then they ended up signing with their team. Asumo re-signed with the Timberwolves, and Kobe White just re-signed with the Hornets. And so, of course, he partway they really needed to re-sign him. He signed for 3 years, $74 million, almost $25 million a year, and they had to replace LaMelo. And so in that trade, I think that the Hornets definitely won that trade. We'll know in 3 years. Let's go back and revisit it in 3 years that LaMelo's a losing player, and they gave up a bunch of stuff. And so I think for the Hornets, again, I said it was addition by subtraction. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I'll jump on if there's another podcast that needs to be. I like Quentin Grimes. I told you that over and over again, but maybe everybody says he didn't want to re-sign with Detroit. Well, he didn't want to re-sign with the team that won 14 games. That was the team that we had, was the team that won 14 games. So I had a listener say that Fred Vincent's been with our team only 1 year, but I checked. He's been with our team 2 years, and Asar hasn't improved, and Holland hasn't improved their shooting. So to draft a player that can't shoot, and I'm not saying, I'm just not being critical of Fred Vinson, is it's hard. But I would have hoped that he could have at least gotten Sarr to get his free throw shot so he had enough arc to get over the rim. But that didn't happen. So I really wasn't in favor. I'm jumping around like I always do. Jalen Brown was 3 years, over $60 million a year. So a lot of money. He has a big ego. He made derogatory comments about the Pistons a couple years ago. But he's always whining and complaining about he's not getting enough respect. And then he said he wants to play on, he had the best year of his career this past year because he was the man. So he won a championship. He got to be the MVP of the Eastern Conference Finals. He was MVP of the NBA Finals. And that wasn't his favorite year. It was this year when they lost in the first round. And like I said, he's always saying that he should be all MVP and he should be first team All NBA. And he's a great player. He's a great player, but he's at least around 30, and so he's got those 3 years left. So he's going to be into his 30s, and then he's going to want an extension, and his extension is going to be into over $70 million a year. And again, he's very bright. He's a very bright guy, but he just his ego is bigger than his intelligence, I think, sometimes. So, yeah, it was interesting. Also, Vince Goodwill, who's from Detroit, that now he covers the Knicks, but he works for ESPN. I really enjoy him, but he gave Corey, our new rookie, a pair of not the kind that Cade wore at the sunglasses that are supposed to be Detroit sunglasses, some special kind of sunglasses. I think that was really cool. And Vince Goodwill was the one that said, we traded Stu for peanuts. We better have a plan. And again, there's no plan so far, but just like I said, hold on to your hats. Things are changing. I hope I get to upload this podcast before there's a new development, but I want a new development. I'm hoping that we get good news. But one thing I learned after my last podcast is I have the best listeners, and I appreciate all of you that reached out to me about my son. I didn't think that everybody even listened to the whole podcast, but my son Andre, he had a stroke before he was born when he was in the womb still. He had a severe seizure disorder, and he had lots of complications, but he lived to be 40. He died unexpectedly still, but he was the light of the world. He was just a loving kid, but thank you. So, sorry. Have a good night.